Hi, hope everyone's well. I'm at home currently self-isolating, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are as well. It's amazing to see all the content and education that people are sharing online to keep the industry stimulated and interested in this difficult time. I'm going to be sharing a lot of haircut videos over the next few weeks, before I do that, I wanted to kick it off with taking you back and sharing the story behind 3 images that have been most special to me over the last 10 years and telling a bit about the idea behind them. So the first up is the samurai, and this image came from 2 different places. So the first idea came from, I saw a picture of Bjorn Borg and John McEnroe at the 1980 Wimbledon final, and it's a really iconic picture. They have these great tracksuit tops on. They look very, very cool, and the headbands that they're wearing separate the hair in a very, very interesting way. It was back in that era that tennis players had these real strong headbands, and this image of these 2 wearing those headbands and the way it separates the hair, it caught my attention. And it's a great iconic picture from a sport point of view, but just from a fashion and a history point of view, the picture has lived on. The way these headbands separated the hair, I thought it just looked cool, and it looked different than something that I'd ever seen. So I photographed it and I put it in my file where I keep my ideas. And around the same time, I've been looking at how samurai and sumo wrestlers and geishas, the waxes and the comb marks that they put in their hair and the way that they groom the ponytail and double it back on itself. I've been looking at all this at the same time independently. But what I realized is both ideas didn't work on their own. The samurai top knot didn't necessarily have an idea on it. It wasn't a fully formed idea on its own. Neither was the headband idea. But what I realized is that if I've got half an idea here and I have half an idea over here, then I put those 2 together, I can potentially got a new idea that I never would have thought of. And that's what happened with this. One day when I was going through my ideas and sketching some thoughts, I looked and I thought, okay, if I use this headband shape and I apply this dressing, this top knot through the top, I can create something that will probably feel a little bit new and feel different. And I did it, found the right girl for it and photographed it, and that's how I've created that image. And that's where the initial inspiration point came from. And it was the first time that I'd ever thought, okay, I don't need a fully fledged idea, all these half ideas that I've maybe thrown away in the past, to combine them with something else, and I've potentially got something that works. And that was a new way of thinking for me at the time. So the next one is the graduated veil. So the graduated veil came from me. It came from me wanting to combine 2 extremes. A big thing with my work is that I've always tried to take 2 things that shouldn't work and put them together and make them work. And this came from me wanting to blend very, very short hair into very, very long hair, but do it in a beautiful way. And every time I tried to do it in the past, it looked very forced and it looked too contrasting, and it wasn't very pleasing to the eye. So I set out about a way to develop blending short hair into long hair. So the way I started was just below the occipital bone, and then I built up some graduation into a classic graduated shape, and then I kind of reverse graduated it all the way up from the bottom, so that you ended up with the central channel is the shortest point, and then it goes up to the classic graduation and then reverts, going longer into this long length that you see flowing down the back. I was tempted, when I was trying to develop it, and it took many months to develop the technique to get the blend seamless. And I was tempted to use a weft or an extension to stick in the bottom to give the length, but I don't think it would have had the smoothness and had the flow if I'd have done that. And what I had in my mind at the time was, say take a sculpture or a carpenter, anyone can stick 2 pieces of wood together. But can someone blend or carve one shape out of one piece of wood? And this is what I had in my mind at the time, of push myself to I suppose to the limits of what I was capable of at the time, to try and make this blend. And For the way it sits in the image, the way that it sweeps across, that just came from applying a little bit of water. I blow dried it very, very smooth and straight, and then I just sprayed water through, and it just let the hair kind of relax. It just let the hair sigh a little bit and revert back to more in its natural state. So sprayed a light mist of water, used a wide tooth comb, and then combed the sweep across. And you'll see in the image there's actually a beam of light. If you look close in the bottom right hand corner, there's a beam of light that comes across in the same angle as the way the hair is flowing, because we shot outside in natural sunlight for that image. And I look back at that image now and I really like it, because I really had to push myself to create it beyond really what I was capable of at the time. So next up we have the graduated pleat. This came from my collection Variations on a Theme. And the theme that we were doing variations on was combining hair cutting with hair dressing. So the way that I developed the ideas, I had a huge board, and on one side of the board I wrote down every dressing I could think of: ponytail, French pleat, vertical roll, horizontal roll, scalp plait. And then the other side of the board I wrote every haircut I could think of: short layer, long layer, mid layer, graduated bob, etc. And then I just started to bounce the ideas off each other. So I would draw a line from, say, ponytail to shaved head. Didn't really work. But I also drew a line one day from graduated haircut through into vertical roll, into French pleat. And it's like, okay, I could see those two working. They're both quite compact. They both could fit nicely in a shape photographed from the back. But they're going to need something that ties the two together. So if you look into the image, we left a little bit of hair through the bottom of the haircut and a little bit of hair kicking out at the top of the French pleat. And what that does, it joined the two things together. It made it into one idea and into one whole concept in the image. It wasn't two separate entities stuck together. And I think having that little bit of line here and that kick out through the top, this is something that I always find with my work. If I'm going to have something quite strong and quite conceptual, then it still needs to sit together in one cohesive shape. And I found having these two little kicks here did that. The same with the colour. The colour is very soft and very organic, because, you know, if I'm doing something strong and I'm doing something, again, a little bit more conceptual, I think the colour then needs to be really soft and really organic, so that the whole thing still has a pleasing element to the eye when you look at it, and it isn't too strong. So that's where my head was at with that. And these three images, I think they were kind of a bit of a watershed moment, each of them in my career, because each one led me on a new path of thinking. I didn't know what I knew before I created them. I created it and it opened something in my mind, and it taken me on a new direction and a new path, and it led me to create the next one and the next one. And I think for anyone that does work like that, those images are the ones that you always look back on with the most fond memories, because they're the things that have guided your career and guided your creative approach, I suppose. So I hope you've enjoyed hearing where my head was at and the stories behind the images. Like I said, we've got lots more education videos. I'm going to be doing lots of haircuts over the coming weeks that I can't wait to share with you guys. But I suppose all I'd say before I go is, I hope everyone's staying well. I hope everyone's listening to the advice on the social distancing and the self-isolation. And I think, you know, this industry and every industry and every country and every society in the world's probably facing the biggest problem and the biggest challenge that we have in our generation. But I think the powers that be are doing all the right things. And I think if we listen to them, then we can all come out of this stronger on the other side. So I just hope everyone's staying well, taking care of each other, and I can't wait to see you all and work with you all soon. So stay safe and stay strong. Thank you.